Also breaking, the Biden administration has reportedly denied the story that it's actively considering domestic travel restrictions to slow the spread of a UK coronavirus variant. Reuters is told that, quote, no specific decisions are under consideration after Florida Republicans slammed the suggestion that White House could restrict travel to the state. New cases of the coronavirus in Florida have fallen 49% in the last 30 days. Joining us now, Congressman Greg Steube of Florida. He's a member of the House Judiciary Oversight and Veteran Affairs Committees. Good to see you, Congressman. So did you guys have any influence in forcing the Biden administration to say that there weren't going to be travel restrictions?
Well, there was certainly a lot of us when we heard the reports that they were considering this, calling this out for what it is. I mean, you have the Biden administration that's allowing thousands of illegal immigrants to come across the border and is stopping the Trump administration's policies at the border without COVID tests. And then you're going to consider having domestic policies in place to limit travel to states like Florida, where the facts actually show the opposite. Here in Sarasota County at Sarasota Memorial Hospital, you can go online and look at their rates of COVID, the amount of patients that they have, and it's actually gone from 10% to 6% of those that are in the hospital for COVID. So you're actually seeing a reduction in numbers, at least in my district. I would imagine that's across the state. So why in the world would you even be thinking about considering limiting travel to states like Florida? I mean, obviously, it's got to be a political consideration.
Do you think that this was an attempt to hit red states?
Well, I think it's an attempt to hit states like Florida, where we have a Republican governor and a Republican legislature that hasn't done lockdowns, hasn't done mask mandates, much to the chagrin of the Biden administration and what the Biden Democrats would like for us to do. We've been freedom here in Florida since about May. My children have been in school. My son's been in school. Schools have been open. We haven't had issues. So people are actually moving to droves to Florida because we're open for business here.
Well, it's music to the ears. It's music to my ears. I live in New York, where we have the lockdowns. They're going to open the restaurants a little bit starting on Friday at 25% occupancy, but the schools still have very few in-person teacher-student relationships. So it really is amazing, particularly when the cases going down. Now, they say, the Biden administration says, and some of the members of CDC are supporting them, that these new strains are so virulent that they're going to have to be reconsideration of new kind of lockdowns, maybe with some travel restrictions thrown in there. Do you think you've stopped that in its tracks now, or might we see this still to come?
Well, I would think we have. We have now 2 million people in Florida that have been vaccinated. The governor was in my district today announcing 3,000 more doses to Port Charlotte and Charlotte County alone. So you have people getting vaccinated as quick as we get doses here in Florida. People are getting vaccinated. They say that the vaccine can cover those variants. So if that's the case, and the case numbers and the percent of those in hospitals are less for COVID, then why in the world would you even consider limiting domestic travel when you're allowing travel for terrorist harboring nations like Syria and Iran? He changed that policy that the Trump administration put into place.
I mean, the idea that you'd be restricted from going from state to state, it goes against American values. Let me switch quickly to impeachment, if I can get your views on this, because it doesn't appear that many of those senators that Democrats were hoping to persuade to convict the president during the trial are going to do so. At best, they have maybe 7 senators. They need 17. Isn't this more about just preventing Donald Trump from having any influence on the GOP or perhaps the ability to run in 2024? And is it having that effect at all, not only among the nation in general, but among some establishment Republicans who were never too crazy about Donald Trump?
Well, this has been 100% political from the beginning. Remember that for 4 years, the entire time that President Trump was president, the Democrats tried to impeach him. I was in the House on the Judiciary Committee when they attempted it last time and failed for conviction. This is 100% Chuck Schumer wanting to put on the board Republican senators so that when they go up for re-election in 2022, this can be a campaign issue that they use against them either in primaries or in general elections. They know that they can't get the conviction, and this fails for constitutional issues. He's not president anymore. It fails on the facts. We didn't have a single bit of hearings, evidence, or anything proffered in the House. This was rushed to judgment even before an investigation was done. And now we know that the FBI conspiracy for conspiring to enter the Capitol weeks before the president made his speech. So this is a political maneuver on behalf of the Democrats to put Republicans in tough positions for the 2022 election cycle.
You had that phone call between President Trump and Senator Lee, which blew up in their face. They were trying to use that against the president. In fact, Senator Lee pointed out that they'd misdescribed the content of that phone call, et cetera. I'm just wondering if perhaps Republicans may end up being able to use this trial in a way against Republicans in the next election, the midterms.
I think you're going to see Republicans mobilize. Trump and his brand and his presidency and the things and the issues that he stood for and all the great things that he did for our country are not going away. There are many, many Americans that have never voted for their life, but until President Trump, those people are not going away. They yearn for that type of leadership. And so I don't think his influence on the party is going away. And I can tell you from having conversations with those and hearing of those talk about that did vote for impeachment are getting a lot of pullback from their Republican supporters back in their districts. So I think this is going to be something that's not going to go away, especially here in Florida, where people believe in the policies that the president put in place during his time in the administration.
Congressman Greg Steube from the great state of Florida. I wish you would come up here and talk some sense into our New York governor and mayor. We could use some of that
well,
common
you're welcome
sense.
to freedom here in Florida anytime.
Thank you very much. I'll try to persuade my bosses of that.